Have you ever wondered if your dog's presence in your home is merely a coincidence, or if there's something more profound happening, something that goes beyond companionship and enters the realm of divine purpose? What if I told you that Saint Padre Pio, one of the most mystically gifted saints of our time, revealed extraordinary insights about the true spiritual role of dogs in our homes? Imagine this scene. It's the middle of the night, and suddenly your dog begins to stare intently at an empty corner of your bedroom, hackles raised, eyes fixed on something invisible to you. Perhaps you've dismissed this as odd behavior or your pet's imagination running wild. But what if your faithful companion is actually perceiving something beyond our human senses, something in the spiritual realm that we cannot detect? This wasn't just random behavior, according to Padre Pio. He believed that dogs were given a special sensitivity by God, a divine gift, allowing them to perceive spiritual realities invisible to most humans. He referred to them as earthly angels, placed in our homes not by chance, but by divine appointment. These four-legged guardians serve a purpose far greater than we typically recognize. I remember hearing about Maria, a devout woman living alone in a small village in Italy. Her dog, Bruno, began behaving strangely one evening, pacing anxiously, whining, and refusing to leave her side. When she tried to go to bed, Bruno blocked the doorway to her bedroom, something he had never done before. Puzzled but trusting her faithful companion, Maria decided to sleep on the couch that night. The next morning, she discovered that part of the ceiling in her bedroom had collapsed during the night, right above where she would have been sleeping. Was this mere coincidence, or was Bruno serving as a divinely appointed protector? Padre Pio would say that dogs often act as guardians, not just in the physical realm, but in the spiritual one as well. They can sense dangers and presences that escape our limited human perception. Today, we'll explore the profound revelations Padre Pio shared about dogs and their divine purpose in our homes. You'll discover why having a dog might be one of the greatest spiritual blessings you've received, a blessing that many people overlook or take for granted. Are you ready to see your faithful companion through new eyes? To understand the deeper spiritual mission they fulfill in your home, by the end of this message, you'll never look at your dog the same way again. Their barks, their behaviors, even their simple presence will take on new meaning as you recognize the divine purpose behind them. If you believe your dog has a special purpose in your life, write in the comments, "My faithful guardian." Your acknowledgement is the first step toward honoring the spiritual gift that's been placed in your home. Stay with me until the end, because the final revelation about the destiny of those who have dogs at home will transform not just how you see your pet, but how you understand God's care for you and your family. To fully grasp the profound insights about dogs that we'll explore today, we must first understand the remarkable man who shared these revelations. Padre Pio wasn't just an ordinary priest. He was a man whose spiritual gifts astonished the world. Born Francesco Forgione in 1887 in Pietrelcina, Italy, he became one of the most mystically gifted saints of modern times. For 50 years, he bore the stigmata, the visible wounds of Christ on his body. He could read hearts, bilocate, appear in two places at once, and possessed extraordinary spiritual sensitivity. What made Padre Pio's insight so valuable was his exceptional ability to perceive spiritual realities invisible to most people. He could sense the presence of angels, detect spiritual dangers, and discern the state of a person's soul. His profound connection to the spiritual realm gave him unique insights into how God works through all of creation, including animals. Padre Pio had a special appreciation for dogs. He understood them not merely as pets or companions, but as creatures with a divine purpose. Animals are God's creatures, he would say, and they reflect each in their own way, aspects of divine goodness. But he recognized something special about dogs, a particular reflection of divine attributes that made them unique among animals. According to Padre Pio, Dogs possess a spiritual sensitivity that allows them to detect and respond to realities beyond the physical world. This isn't superstition or folklore. It's an understanding that God's creation functions on multiple levels and that some creatures can sense dimensions that human perception often misses. Dogs, Padre Pio observed, have been given special graces to serve as guardians not just of bodies, but of souls. Think about your own dog for a moment. Consider their unwavering loyalty, how they greet you with the same enthusiasm, whether you've been gone for 5 minutes or 5 hours. Reflect on their uncanny ability to sense your emotions, coming to comfort you when you're sad without any words being spoken. This isn't just animal instinct. According to Padre Pio, it's a reflection of divine love and faithfulness. The unconditional love of a dog mirrors God's unconditional love for us. Their faithfulness reflects divine faithfulness. Their protective nature echoes God's protection over us. This is why Padre Pio referred to dogs as earthly angels, because through their simple, faithful presence, they manifest aspects of divine care in tangible, physical form. But the spiritual role of dogs goes beyond symbolism. Padre Pio believed that God works actively through these creatures to bring protection, comfort, healing, and spiritual growth to households. They aren't just passive reminders of divine attributes, they are active instruments through which God's grace flows into homes. This understanding transforms how we perceive our canine companions. No longer are they mere pets that provide companionship and occasional service. They become recognized as divinely appointed guardians with a spiritual mission in our homes. Their presence isn't random or accidental, it's providential. As we explore the 4 spiritual signs Padre Pio revealed about dogs, I invite you to reflect on your own experiences with these faithful companions. Have you ever sensed that your dog was doing more than just being a pet? Have you noticed moments when their behavior seemed to have a purpose, beyond what could be explained by mere instinct or training? These questions lead us to our first revelation, how dogs serve as spiritual protectors in our homes, standing guard against forces we cannot see, but that nonetheless affect our lives profoundly. This understanding will change not only how you see your dog, but how you understand the spiritual dimension of your home. The first and perhaps most remarkable sign Padre Pio revealed about dogs is their role as spiritual protectors. According to his teachings, dogs possess a unique sensitivity to the spiritual realm, an ability to detect presences and energies that remain invisible to most humans. This isn't just an interesting spiritual theory. It manifests in observable behaviors that many dog owners have witnessed but perhaps never fully understood. Have you ever noticed your dog barking at seemingly nothing, or staring intently at an empty corner of the room? Perhaps they've growled at vacant spaces or refused to enter certain areas of your home without any apparent reason. While skeptics might dismiss these behaviors as random or triggered by imperceptible sounds or scents, Padre Pio offered a different explanation. Your dog is detecting spiritual presences. And dogs, he would say, have been given special graces to perceive both angelic presences and spiritual dangers. This sensitivity serves a divine purpose, to protect the household not just from physical threats, but from spiritual ones as well. In essence, your dog functions as a first line of defense in the spiritual protection of your home. According to Padre Pio, dogs can distinguish between benevolent and malevolent spiritual energies. When they encounter positive spiritual presences, like guardian angels or the prayers of saints, they often display peaceful, sometimes joyful behavior. They might wag their tails at empty spaces or appear to playfully interact with something invisible. This isn't madness or imagination. It's your dog acknowledging the good spiritual presences that watch over your home. Conversely, when they sense negative spiritual influences, their protective instincts activate. They might bark persistently at empty spaces, growl without apparent cause, or position themselves protectively between you and an unseen presence. Some dogs will refuse to enter rooms where negative energies linger, or will try to prevent their owners from going into such spaces. These behaviors aren't random. They're manifestations of your dog's spiritual protective function. Let me share a remarkable testimony that illustrates this spiritual protection in action. Thomas, a devoted Catholic from Chicago, shared how his German Shepherd Max displayed extraordinary protective behavior during a difficult time in his life. Thomas had been experiencing unusual nightmares and a persistent sense of oppression after acquiring an antique item from an estate sale. One night, he was awakened by Max's intense barking. The dog stood rigidly at the foot of his bed, growling at the bedroom doorway, though nothing was visibly there. Max then jumped onto the bed and positioned himself directly over Thomas in a protective stance, continuing to growl at the empty doorway. This behavior continued for several nights. "I could feel something wasn't right," Thomas recalled, but Max seemed to actually see whatever it was. He wasn't just barking randomly. He was tracking something with his eyes, something moving that I couldn't perceive. Following the advice of his parish priest, Thomas had his home blessed and removed the antique item from his house. The night after the blessing, Max's behavior completely changed. He relaxed, stopped his vigilant barking, and returned to his normal temperament. Thomas's nightmares and the feeling of oppression lifted as well. Padre Pio would not have been surprised by this account. He taught that dogs often serve as the first indicator of spiritual disturbances in a home. "They stand guard," he said, "not just against intruders you can see, but against those you cannot." This protective function is a divine gift, a grace given to these creatures that allows them to serve as spiritual guardians for their human families. How can you recognize when your dog is exercising this spiritual protection? Pay attention to patterns in their behavior. Random barking is one thing, but consistent, focused attention towards specific areas of your home, especially when accompanied by protective posturing, may indicate spiritual awareness. Notice if your dog refuses to enter certain spaces or seems anxious in particular rooms. These behaviors might be more than mere animal quirks. They could be your faithful companion fulfilling their spiritual protective role. Padre Pio advised that when we observe these protective behaviors in our dogs, we should respond with prayer rather than dismissal or scolding. When your dog alerts you to something beyond your perception, he counseled, take it as an invitation to pray for protection and peace in your home. By acknowledging and respecting this spiritual function, we cooperate with the divine protection being offered through our faithful companions. This understanding transforms how we view our dogs' seemingly inexplicable behaviors. What might otherwise be dismissed as animal oddities becomes recognized as a divine protective grace operating in our homes. Your dog isn't just a pet, they're a spiritual sentinel, standing guard at the threshold between the seen and unseen worlds. The second profound sign that Padre Pio revealed about dogs concerns their role as vessels of divine companionship and comfort. Beyond their protective function, dogs serve as tangible manifestations of God's promise never to leave us alone. They embody divine companionship in physical form, bringing comfort during our darkest moments and joy in our everyday lives. In the companionship of a dog, Padre Pio would say, we experience a reflection of God's faithful presence. Think about how your dog remains loyally by your side regardless of circumstances. They don't abandon you when you're sick, poor, or struggling. They don't withhold their affection when you make mistakes. This unwavering presence mirrors God's promise to be with us always, even to the end of the age. What makes this spiritual sign particularly powerful is how dogs seem instinctively drawn to those experiencing emotional or physical suffering. Have you noticed how your dog senses when you're sad, anxious, or ill? Without any training or command, they often come to sit beside you, place their head on your lap, or stay vigilantly near you during difficult times. Padre Pio explained this behavior as more than mere animal instinct. Dogs, he noted, have been given a special sensitivity to human suffering, allowing them to channel divine comfort to those in pain. This sensitivity allows them to respond to emotional and spiritual needs that may not be visible to other humans. Consider how dogs often provide companionship to those most vulnerable to loneliness. The elderly widow living alone finds in her dog a faithful friend who listens without judgment and provides physical touch in a world where human embrace may be increasingly rare. The child struggling with social acceptance discovers in the family dog a companion who offers unconditional love without performance requirements or social expectations. In these relationships, dogs become channels of divine grace, bringing comfort, acceptance, and joy to those who might otherwise feel abandoned or forgotten. Oh, God works through the simplest of creatures, Padre Pio would say, to remind us that we are never alone, never unloved. The comfort dogs provide transcends the physical. Their presence affects us on a neurological and spiritual level. Studies have shown that interacting with dogs increases levels of oxytocin, the bonding hormone, and decreases stress hormones like cortisol. Blood pressure lowers, anxiety diminishes, and a sense of calm often pervades the atmosphere when a beloved dog rests beside us. Padre Pio saw these physiological responses as evidence of divine design. God created these creatures with the specific capacity to bring healing comfort to humans. "Nigh the touch of a dog," he observed, "can sometimes heal wounds that human hands cannot reach." This healing touch serves as a conduit for divine comfort, allowing us to experience God's care in tangible, physical form. Dogs also bring a particular kind of joy that reflects spiritual realities. Have you ever observed how dogs find delight in the simplest things, a short walk, a gentle pat, even just your presence when you return home? Their capacity for joy doesn't depend on material wealth, status, or achievement. They remind us of Jesus' words about entering the kingdom of heaven with childlike faith, with simplicity, trust, and the ability to find joy in relationship rather than possession. The joy of a dog, Padre Pio noted, teaches us how to receive grace with enthusiasm, gratitude, and without complication. When your dog bounds toward you with uninhibited delight simply because you've walked through the door, they're modeling a spiritual receptivity that many of us have forgotten. Perhaps most remarkably, dogs demonstrate a forgiving spirit that reflects divine mercy. They don't hold grudges when we accidentally step on their tails, forget their walks, or speak harshly in moments of stress. Their ability to move past hurts and continue offering affection models the forgiveness we're called to practice and reminds us of God's endless patience with our own failings. In all these ways, through their faithful presence, their comfort in suffering, their simple joy, and their forgiving nature, dogs become living reminders of divine companionship. They make abstract spiritual truths concrete through their physical presence in our homes. So the next time your dog rests their head on your lap during a difficult day, or greets you with unbridled joy despite your flaws and failings, remember Padre Pio's insight. This isn't just animal behavior. It's a channel of divine grace, bringing God's faithful companionship into tangible form. Your dog isn't just keeping you company. They're manifesting an eternal truth about God's presence that never leaves or forsakes you. As we explore these profound spiritual insights about our canine companions, many of you may find yourselves wanting to delve deeper into the spiritual wisdom that Padre Pio shared during his remarkable life. The parallels between the faithful companionship of our dogs and the spiritual principles that Padre Pio taught are truly extraordinary, and they only scratch the surface of his profound spiritual legacy. That's why I want to share with you a special resource that can help you continue this spiritual journey. Our ebook, The Spiritual Secrets of St. Padre Pio, contains powerful prayers, reflections based on his teachings, and practical spiritual advice that can strengthen your faith journey in meaningful ways. Just as your dog brings protection, companionship, and unconditional love to your home, this collection of Padre Pio's wisdom can bring clarity, comfort, and spiritual insight to your daily life. The ebook includes rare teachings about how to recognize divine presence in everyday experiences, much like what we're discussing about our faithful canine companions. By accessing this resource, you'll discover how to develop greater spiritual sensitivity, protect your home from negative influences, and cultivate the kind of faithful trust that your dog demonstrates so naturally. The wisdom contained in these pages can transform your spiritual understanding and bring you closer to experiencing God's presence in tangible ways. To receive this special ebook, simply click the link pinned in the comments section below. It's our way of supporting your spiritual growth and helping you build upon the insights you're gaining today. Now, let's continue exploring the remarkable spiritual signs that Padre Pio revealed about the dogs in our homes. The third profound sign that Padre Pio revealed about dogs is their role as spiritual teachers in our lives. While we often think we are the ones training our dogs, Padre Pio suggests something quite different, that through their natural behaviors and instincts, dogs are actually teaching us essential spiritual virtues that many humans struggle to embody. Observe a dog carefully, Padre Pio would advise, and you will discover that God has placed before you a living lesson in many of the virtues you are called to practice. These four-legged teachers offer daily masterclasses in patience, forgiveness, presence, loyalty, and selfless service, often without us even realizing we're being instructed. Consider how dogs practice presence, something many spiritual traditions emphasize as essential for spiritual growth. Dogs live fully in the present moment. They don't dwell on past regrets or anxiously anticipate the future. When they're with you, they're fully with you, attentive, engaged, and completely present. How many of us can say the same about our interactions with others or even our prayer time with God? The ability to be fully present, Padre Pio noted, is something dogs demonstrate naturally, while humans often need years of spiritual practice to achieve the same quality of attention. Each time your dog sits contentedly beside you, fully engaged in the moment without distraction, they're modeling a spiritual quality that saints and spiritual masters have emphasized for centuries. Dogs also teach us about forgiveness and the freedom it brings. They don't hold grudges or harbor resentments. They might react in the moment if hurt or startled, but they don't carry that pain forward. Minutes after being accidentally stepped on, a dog can return with the same loving enthusiasm, having completely released the offense. This capacity for forgiveness creates a lightness of spirit that many humans lack. The dog's ability to forgive and move forward, Padre Pio observed, gives them a joy that many humans forfeit through their attachment to past hurts. By watching our dogs release offenses and return to joy, we receive a living lesson in the freedom that forgiveness brings. Perhaps most profoundly, dogs teach us about unconditional love and acceptance, the very heart of the gospel message. Dogs don't love us for our achievements, appearance, or social status. They don't withdraw their affection when we fail or make mistakes. Their love doesn't increase with our successes or diminish with our failures. It remains constant, mirroring divine love in its unconditional nature. And in a dog's eyes, Padre Pio would say, we catch a glimpse of how God sees us, with love that doesn't depend on perfection or performance. This living demonstration of unconditional love can heal wounds inflicted by conditional human relationships and open our hearts to better receive God's unconditional love. Interestingly, the relationship between humans and dogs also teaches spiritual lessons about authority and trust. Dogs naturally recognize leadership and respond to it. They flourish under loving, consistent guidance, much as humans flourish in right relationship with divine authority. The training relationship becomes a picture of spiritual formation, where boundaries and commands aren't restrictive, but rather create the foundation for greater freedom, joy, and purpose. Ndundun, a well-trained dog, Padre Pio noted, demonstrates the beauty of surrendering to loving authority, something many humans resist in their relationship with God. By observing how trust and obedience lead to a dog's flourishing, we gain insight into the paradoxical spiritual truth that surrender leads to freedom. Let me share a remarkable testimony that illustrates how dogs can serve as spiritual teachers. Michael, a businessman who struggled with workaholism and perfectionism, shared how his relationship with his rescue dog, Samson, transformed his spiritual understanding. Samson came into Michael's life during a corporate burnout, a time when Michael's relentless drive for achievement had left him spiritually and emotionally depleted. "I was so focused on doing and achieving that I'd forgotten how to simply be," Michael explained. "My worth was completely tied to my performance." Samson, however, had no interest in Michael's impressive resume or corporate achievements. What delighted the dog wasn't Michael's accomplishments, but simply his presence. Samson would just sit with me, completely content if I was there, not checking my phone, not working, just being present, Michael recalled. "He taught me that my value wasn't in what I produced, but in who I was." Over time, Michael began to recognize parallels between Samson's simple joy in his presence and God's desire for relationship over performance. And through Samson, I started to understand that God valued my presence more than my productivity, a concept that completely transformed my approach to faith and prayer. The rescue dog also taught Michael about grace and second chances. "Samson had been abandoned twice before I adopted him," Michael shared, "yet he approached each day with joy and trust, not weighed down by his past. He showed me how to live in the freedom of grace rather than the burden of past failures." This testimony exemplifies what Padre Pio understood, that dogs often become unexpected spiritual directors, guiding their owners toward virtues they struggle to embody. God uses the simplest creatures, Padre Pio would say, to teach the most profound spiritual truths to those willing to observe and learn. The spiritual education dogs provide isn't theoretical or abstract. It's embodied, practical, and demonstrated daily. By watching how they forgive quickly, love unconditionally, trust completely, serve joyfully, and live fully in the present, we receive ongoing instruction in the very virtues that constitute a spiritually mature life. So the next time you observe your dog's natural behaviors, their enthusiasm when you return home, their contentment simply being near you, their quick recovery from disappointment, recognize that you're witnessing more than just animal instincts. You're observing a divinely appointed teacher demonstrating spiritual virtues that many of us spend a lifetime trying to develop. The fourth profound sign Padre Pio revealed about dogs is perhaps the most challenging and transformative. Dogs serve as mirrors reflecting our true spiritual and emotional condition. Unlike humans, who might be deceived by our words or impressed by our public persona, dogs respond to who we really are beneath the surface. They perceive and react to our inner reality, not our carefully crafted external image. Dogs, Padre Pio observed, have been given a special sensitivity to human hearts. They respond not to who we pretend to be, but to who we truly are. This creates a unique kind of spiritual accountability. Your dog knows and responds to your actual spiritual condition, not the version you present to the world. Have you ever noticed how dogs seem to sense emotions we haven't even expressed outwardly? Long before tears fall, a perceptive dog often comes to comfort someone who is struggling internally with sadness. Before anger manifests in raised voices, many dogs detect the rising tension and respond accordingly, either by seeking to comfort or by creating distance. This remarkable sensitivity isn't just about emotions, it extends to deeper spiritual states. Padre Pio noted that dogs often respond differently to people based on their interior disposition rather than their external behavior. The dog perceives the heart, he would say, not merely the appearance. This explains why some dogs seem immediately drawn to certain individuals while remaining cautious around others, despite no obvious external differences. What they're detecting isn't visible to human eyes, but is nevertheless real and significant. Your dog's reactions to people can sometimes offer insights into character that might otherwise remain hidden. Padre Pio went further, suggesting that dogs often reflect back to us our own spiritual and emotional state. When we are peaceful inside, our dogs typically manifest calm. When we are anxious, they frequently become agitated. When we harbor anger or resentment, many dogs become either overly protective or unusually subdued. They become living barometers of our interior weather. I pay attention to your dog's behavior, Padre Pio advised, for often they are showing you what you yourself need to see about your own heart. This reflective quality can serve as a powerful tool for spiritual self-awareness. By observing how our dogs respond to us at different times, we gain insights into our internal condition that might otherwise remain unconscious. Perhaps most significantly, our treatment of dogs reveals our true character. Padre Pio believed that how a person treats dependent, vulnerable beings, like animals, reveals more about their spiritual condition than how they treat those of equal or greater power. "And show me how someone treats their dog," he reportedly said, "and I will show you the condition of their soul." This perspective aligns with wisdom found across spiritual traditions, that our treatment of the vulnerable reveals our true character. Jesus himself suggested that faithfulness in small matters indicates faithfulness in larger ones. How we care for the creatures entrusted to us reflects our understanding of stewardship and reverence for all creation. Padre Pio noted that people who treated their dogs with consistent kindness, patience, and respect typically demonstrated similar virtues in their human relationships and spiritual practices. Conversely, those who were harsh, inconsistent, or neglectful toward their dogs often exhibited similar patterns in their broader lives, sometimes in ways not immediately apparent to casual observers. This mirroring function creates a profound opportunity for spiritual growth. By paying attention to how we treat our dogs, especially when tired, stressed, or frustrated, we gain honest insights into our character. Are we patient when our dog needs to go outside at an inconvenient time? Are we consistent in our care and boundaries? Do we speak kindly even when correcting unwanted behavior? The way you speak to your dog, Padre Pio observed, often echoes how you speak to yourself and to God. This connection between our treatment of our dogs and our broader spiritual life offers a practical path to greater self-awareness and character development. Consider asking yourself these reflective questions. Do you demonstrate the same patience with your dog that you hope God extends to your own failings? Do you show the same forgiveness for accidents or mistakes that you yourself need? Do you provide care with the same consistency and attention that you desire from your Heavenly Father? These questions aren't meant to induce guilt, but to invite growth. Our dogs become unexpected spiritual directors, revealing areas where our practice doesn't yet match our professed values. By noticing these discrepancies and addressing them first in our relationship with our dogs, we often find improvement flowing into other areas of our lives as well. Padre Pio believed that God intentionally designed this mirroring function to help us grow. And the dog responds to what is real in us, he said, helping us to see ourselves truthfully so that we might grow in virtue. This honest reflection, offered without judgment or condemnation, creates a unique opportunity for authentic spiritual development. So the next time your dog seems to be reflecting your anxiety, responding to your unspoken sadness, or reacting to tension you thought you were hiding, recognize the spiritual gift being offered. Your faithful companion is giving you a glimpse of your true condition, not to condemn, but to create awareness that can lead to growth and transformation. Now we arrive at the most profound revelation Padre Pio shared about dogs, one that ties together all the previous signs and unveils the true spiritual destiny of those who have dogs in their homes. This insight goes beyond the individual gifts of protection, companionship, teaching, and reflection to reveal the overarching divine purpose behind these remarkable creatures in our lives. According to Padre Pio, dogs aren't just animals that happen to benefit us in various ways. They are specifically designed and placed in our lives as earthly angels, physical beings with a spiritual mission to prepare our hearts for greater receptivity to divine grace. The destiny of those who have dogs at home is nothing less than spiritual transformation through daily interaction with these heaven-sent companions. God places dogs in homes, Padre Pio explained, as instruments of heart-opening grace. Through them, hearts that might otherwise remain closed begin to soften and become receptive to divine love. This perspective reveals the profound spiritual strategy behind the presence of dogs in human lives. They are preparers of the human heart. Think about what happens when a dog becomes part of a family. Even the most guarded individuals often find themselves speaking in loving tones, offering physical affection, and expressing tenderness they might withhold from human relationships. People who struggle to trust humans often find themselves slowly opening to trust through the safe relationship with a dog. Those who find it difficult to receive love often accept it more easily from a dog than from people. These experiences aren't incidental, they're central to dogs' spiritual purpose. The love between human and dog, Padre Pio observed, often becomes the bridge over which divine grace can finally pass into resistant hearts. This is particularly true for individuals who have experienced trauma, betrayal, or disappointment in human relationships. Consider how dogs embody unconditional love in tangible form. They don't love us for our achievements, appearance, or status. Their affection doesn't increase with our successes or diminish with our failures. This unwavering love creates a living, breathing experience of acceptance that mirrors divine love. For many people, their dog becomes the first relationship where they truly experience being loved without condition, where they don't have to earn affection or fear its withdrawal. This experience creates new neural pathways of trust and receptivity that can gradually extend beyond the canine relationship to human connections and, ultimately, to God. Before some hearts can believe in a God who loves unconditionally, Padre Pio noted, they must first experience such love in tangible form. Dogs often become the living proof that such love exists. Through this experience, a person's concept of love can be fundamentally rewired, creating capacity for deeper spiritual connection. This heart-opening function explains why dogs often seem divinely matched to the specific emotional and spiritual needs of their owners. The anxious person often receives a calm, grounding dog. The lonely individual finds a particularly affectionate companion. The person struggling with trust issues encounters a patient, consistent canine friend. These matches aren't merely coincidental, they reflect divine intentionality. Reikidi, the specific dog that comes into your life, Padre Pio taught, has been prepared with precisely the qualities needed to address your particular spiritual challenges. This divine matching process creates optimal conditions for the heart transformation process to unfold. The ultimate purpose of this transformation is to prepare us for deeper communion with God and others. As our hearts open through the safe relationship with our dogs, we become more capable of authentic vulnerability, trust, and love in our broader relationships, including our relationship with God. This reveals the true destiny of those who have dogs in their homes. They are being invited into a journey of heart transformation that has eternal significance. The daily interactions with these faithful companions aren't just pleasant experiences or practical benefits. They're sacred encounters designed to reshape our capacity to give and receive love. Padre Pio described this process as redemptive resonance, the way dogs help recover and restore aspects of our humanity that may have been damaged by difficult experiences or our own choices. Saki, through caring for these creatures, as he noted, something broken within us often begins to heal. This healing isn't limited to emotional wounds. It extends to our spiritual capacity, our ability to trust, to receive grace without earning it, to rest in being loved rather than striving for acceptance. Dogs help us practice receiving these gifts in physical form, preparing us to receive their spiritual counterparts from God. The implications of this understanding are profound. It means that your relationship with your dog isn't peripheral to your spiritual journey. It's an integral part of it. The time you spend caring for, playing with, and loving your dog isn't just about animal companionship. It's a spiritual practice, a sacred exchange that gradually transforms your heart. This is why Padre Pio would counsel people to pay special attention to their relationship with their dogs. How you respond to this creature, he would say, often reveals and affects how you respond to divine grace. By approaching our dogs with conscious awareness of their spiritual purpose, we can more fully cooperate with the transformation they're designed to facilitate. So the true destiny of those who have dogs at home is spiritual awakening, a progressive opening of the heart that makes us more receptive to love in all its forms. Your dog isn't just sharing your home, they're preparing your heart for greater capacity to experience the very love of God. The next time you look into your dog's eyes, remember that you're not just seeing a pet. You're encountering a divinely appointed companion whose purpose transcends the physical realm. Through their faithful presence, God is speaking a message tailored specifically to your heart, a message of unconditional love, faithful presence, and gracious acceptance that reflects the very heart of the gospel. As we come to the conclusion of our journey through Padre Pio's profound revelations about dogs, let's take a moment to gather these spiritual insights and consider how they might transform our relationship with these remarkable creatures who share our homes and lives. We've discovered that dogs are far more than pets or simple companions. They are divinely appointed guardians who offer spiritual protection against forces we cannot see. They embody God's faithful presence through their unwavering companionship, especially in our darkest moments. They serve as spiritual teachers, demonstrating virtues that many of us struggle to practice. And they function as mirrors, reflecting our true interior condition, offering us the gift of greater self-awareness. All of these functions serve an overarching divine purpose, to gradually open our hearts to greater receptivity to love, both human and divine. The destiny of those who have dogs in their homes is nothing less than spiritual transformation through daily interaction with these heaven-sent companions. This understanding calls us to approach our relationship with our dogs with new awareness and intention. Rather than taking their presence for granted, we can recognize the sacred opportunity they represent. Each interaction becomes an opportunity for spiritual growth, each moment of care a chance to practice the virtues they so naturally embody. Consider how you might honor your dog's spiritual purpose in practical ways. Pay attention when they seem to be alerting you to something beyond your perception. It might be an invitation to pray for protection over your home. Receive their faithful companionship as a tangible reminder of God's promise never to leave you. Learn from their natural capacity for forgiveness, presence, and unconditional love, and allow their responses to you to reveal aspects of your interior life that might benefit from greater awareness and growth. Remember that how you treat your dog reflects and affects your spiritual condition. Padre Pio believed that our care for these dependent creatures reveals much about our understanding of divine love and our capacity to channel that love to others. By treating our dogs with consistent kindness, patience, and respect, we cultivate these same virtues in our broader relationships and spiritual practices. Think about what you've learned today. Have you recognized any of these 4 spiritual signs in your own dog? Perhaps you've witnessed their protective instincts activating in ways that seem to transcend physical reality. Maybe you've experienced their uncanny ability to offer comfort precisely when you needed it most. You might have observed how they naturally embody virtues you aspire to practice. Or perhaps you've noticed how they reflect back to you aspects of your interior life that would otherwise remain hidden. These experiences aren't coincidental. They're central to the divine purpose behind your dog's presence in your life. By recognizing and honoring this purpose, you cooperate more fully with the transformation God desires to work through this relationship. I invite you now to share in the comments which of these 4 spiritual signs you've witnessed most clearly in your own dog. Has your faithful companion protected you from unseen dangers, comforted you in times of distress, taught you important spiritual lessons, or reflected back aspects of your interior life that needed attention? Your testimony might help others recognize similar patterns in their own relationships with their dogs. If you've been moved by these revelations from Padre Pio, consider sharing this message with others who might benefit from understanding the deeper spiritual purpose behind their canine companions. Many dog owners love their pets deeply, but haven't yet recognized the divine intention woven into these relationships. Your sharing could open their eyes to the sacred opportunity they encounter daily. Remember Padre Pio's words: God speaks to us through his creation for those with eyes to see and ears to hear. Your dog's presence in your life isn't random or accidental. It's providential, purposeful, and filled with spiritual significance. By approaching this relationship with greater awareness and intention, you open yourself to the transformative grace that flows through these faithful companions. May you see your dog with new eyes from this day forward, not just as a pet, but as a divinely appointed companion with a sacred mission in your home and heart. And may your relationship with this remarkable creature draw you ever closer to the source of all love, faithfulness, and grace. As Padre Pio would say, in the eyes of your dog, catch a glimpse of how God sees you, with unconditional love, endless patience, and unwavering faithfulness. Thank you for joining me on this journey of discovery. Until next time, may God bless you and your faithful companion with his abundant grace and protection.